Welcome everyone to the video where we'll be enjoying some masterpiece played by none other than the world number 3, Ding Liren. Make sure to get yourself some popcorns because this will surely be knocking your socks off. Well, for those who don't know me, I'm Coach Arya from Chess Academy, National Under 7 2013 runner-up, and also a published author on Chessable. Well, let's get back to the topic. For those who don't know, Ding is the only Chinese player to ever fight for the ultimate title. He's also the only Chinese player to ever reach 2800 rating. And he's so solid that he had a world record of an unbeaten 100-game streak until Magnus broke it. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's buckle up. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are enjoying this one of the most decisive world championship ever with lots of ups and downs. Today, we're going to be talking about Ding Liren's top 5 best moves. And well, for those of you who don't know the interesting story about Ding and the world championship, let's hear this. So actually, in order to be able to participate in the world championship, you first have to qualify in the candidates. Interestingly, Ding did not qualify for candidates. So for some reasons, the Russian Grandmaster Sergei Karyakin had to be removed from the candidates. And that's why Ding got the chance to play with. But there's another twist here. Jan Nepomniachtchi, as we saw in the previous video, we unraveled his top 5 best moves. He became the champion in the candidates, while Ding Liren became the runner-up. Now, well, again, there is no chances of Ding becoming the contender of the World Championship. But again, Ding had to have some lucks. So Ding was a bit lucky when Magnus announced that he will not be defending his title anymore. He's not eager to do that. And that's how we ended up in this 2023 World Championship match between Ding and Nepo. All right, without further ado, let's head over to first example. So this one, it's an online game. It was played in Chess.com Speed Championship between Ding Liren and Alexander Grishuk, a very strong Russian grandmaster. Ding is white here. The last move Black had played was Queen takes b3, capturing White's queen. What do you think White should do here? You can pause the video if you want to. Well, a logical reaction would be, come on, let's take the queen back. Well, yeah, if you do that, Black takes your knight, you take the knight, he takes it back. And that's a very equalish position, right? So now Ding finds something brilliant. Rather than just logically taking the queen back, he goes for knight d8. He's not eager to capture the queen back. Instead, he goes for all in. All of his now, if you notice carefully, all of Black's pieces are hanging. And especially due to these two bishops, Black is completely in disaster. In the game, Grishuk took the pawn on b2 with the queen, after which Ding played knight c6 with the threat of knight e7, a discovered attack on the rook. Well, unfortunate for Grishuk that the rook is unable to move to b8 because of the knight. So he played bishop b7, but there came rook b1, a skewer, and after Black played queen c3, still not giving up. He is attacking White's rook on e1, meaning that if White were to take on b7, he'd be losing his rook. But there is an in-between. I hope you will be able to find it. It's a simple rook ec1, attacking the queen before taking the bishop. And thankfully, that rook is also protected by the bishop. That means Black has to just throw in the towel. Whatever he does, our next move is to take the bishop. We have an amazing material imbalance here. We have a rook, bishop, and a knight versus a queen, and that's always winning. And actually, Grishuk resigned here. He just had to because all White's pieces are in action, literally all of them. So yeah, an amazing queen sacrifice, and this just goes to show how tactically and positionally aware Ding is. All right, then let's move on to the next one, and the next one is a a particularly interesting one because Ding takes on Magnus Carlsen, the reigning world champion at that time. And well, we can coin the name sort of Ding walk here because Ding walks with his king. And well, let me show you what's happening in this position. Well, black has an amazing position, right? I mean, he has control over the dark squares. Like all of the dark squares are controlled by black. And well, he has a black light squared bishop, meaning that his bishop is free to go anywhere. While on the other hand, white also is controlling all the light squares. So it's a tough battle between the colors, right? And well, if you notice carefully, black can simply put his knight on d4 or f4 and then start pushing his kingside pawns. But white, on the other hand, can't do the same, right? Because black has more control over that side. But there is a problem, though. If you start pushing immediately, first of all, your center is a bit loose. And secondly, your king might be in a little bit of danger. So what Ding does is he simply walks away with his king. And that's a brilliant idea that shook the world champion. Magnus tried to do something, but it only backfired. Ding simply just walks away with his king with the idea that once his king is safe on this side, well, he will start pushing the pawns. And that will be an unstoppable pawn roll. Magnus goes queen h4, trying to do something, but it's just not going to stop the king walk. And well, Magnus tried something like f4 here, which simply backfired, and he went on to lose the game. A very nice idea. Can you imagine that? Like out of nowhere, the king simply walks away with a follow-up attack of the pawns, and that's a disaster. So yeah, Ding is known for these kinds of positional geniuses. All right, then let's move on to the next one. The next one is particularly one of my favorite ones. It reminds me of the famous meme where there's it's basically call an ambulance, but not for me. So as you can see here, white is threatening a checkmate, and he's also attacking black's bishop on c6. Now, well, currently black has a rook and a bishop for the queen, so that's not a good material imbalance. Well, of course, the queen is better than a rook and a bishop. But, well, after the next move, the whole thing just changes. Can you find it? Well, what black does here is that he opens up that diagonal by blocking white's attack. And oh my goodness, look at that move. It stops the checkmate. And well, you can take my knight. That's for free. Because I'm going to do a checkmate. And look at that bishop. That's creating the pin. With the help of this bishop, we are doing the checkmate. That's a beautiful piece of example. And no matter what he does, he's just unable to do anything. And this is where king safety plays a major role. Black's king is very safe here, right? And well, after a long thought, Magnus resigned. And yeah, that is actually a really good score against Magnus. So, well, who knows? Ding might be the next world champion. Anything can happen. All right, then, let's move on to the next one, the fourth example. And this one is definitely one of Ding's best games ever. Well, you can see that black does not have his queen. So Ding is black in this game, actually, against Bai Jingxi. He's a Chinese grandmaster. And, well, Ding sacrificed his queen. Now, what do you think? The king is really in trouble. But we are still not able to do a checkmate somehow. And Ding finds a brilliant way to sort of trap the white king. And as we'll see in the end, Ding checkmates with all of his pieces. He uses every single pieces to do a checkmate, even the king. So what do you think the first move can be? It's just outstanding. Well, it's rook d4. Can you believe that? That square is controlled by the pawn. But, well, the rook is taboo. Because if you take the rook, that's the knight 4. Yeah, you're going to lose a queen. So instead, and also on top of that, we are actually threatening a checkmate. So for example, if white does nothing, it's a check. The knight must take because the king does not have any escape squares. That's part of the reason why we put the rook here to control this important f4 square. And the knight takes, and we bring the bishop in, and that's a beautiful checkmate. So white plays pawn to h3, trying to stop checkmate. But here comes h5, recreating that threat. White gets the bishop away so that he liberates the square for the king. But we give a check. He moves away. And another beautiful example of just some brilliancies. Ding goes for rook d2. Yet again, that similar kind of threat. Just deflecting the queen from this diagonal. Can you see? The queen does not have any single square on that diagonal. It's just amazing. And of course, you can't take because of the same idea. White played queen b3. And now, just because the queen moved away, we can give a check now. He goes to h4. King f4 would have been met with perhaps rook f2 and then stuff like this. And the king is stuck in the center. It should be checkmate pretty soon. He went to h4. And well, the bishop joins back. He takes the pawn. And well, I mean, in these kinds of positions, usually you should be looking for forcing moves. But the king is somehow surviving. And so what black does is he brings his king up, well, restricting the white king a little bit. But the main idea is to move the bishop away and bring the rook into the action with a checkmate to follow. And see how calm Ding is playing. He's just not rushing at all. He brings the bishop, intending to do a checkmate in a couple of moves. White gives a check. White is still not giving up. I mean, that king looks so trapped or checkmated, but it's still not getting checkmated. Well, he simply moved the king away. White took the pawn. And well, let's enjoy that free pawn. And also, by moving that pawn, we are again threatening a checkmate. So every single move is a threat. You see? White plays bishop g5. Again, desperately creating some squares for the king. But now the rook finally joins the attack. With the threat of king g7 and checkmate coming in. White takes the pawn, but now this bishop drops back. And what a beautiful example. By playing this move, Ding is deflecting the knight so that this knight is not attacking the rook anymore. He gives a check. And now the rook is free. And it's delivering a checkmate. That's a beautiful piece of example. Like the king was chased from all the way to e1 to all the way to h5, and it eventually got checked. Beautiful example. Just goes to show how positionally and tactically Ding is the top player, the elite ones. And the final one, well, how can we miss this game? It's actually from the World Championship, the current World Championship. It's the 4th round when Ding made a huge comeback. It's white to play. White is Ding, black is Yan. Black made a mistake by putting the knight on d4. And can you find what black had missed? It's white to play. You can take your time. If you guess rook d4, yes, it is. He sacrifices the exchange and to get a dominating position. And he went on to win a perfect game. Well, the idea is that if black tries to support the pawn, there's this good move d6. And look at those two pawns in the center rolling down. If the rook takes, well, there's queen d5. And that's decisive with d7 coming in. And that's just it. In the game, I believe Yan had played g5, after which knight d4. And well, this was the knight is coming in. It's just a dominating position. Ding went on to win very easily. And yeah, that's the top 5 best moves played by Ding. Well, there are really lots of examples that Ding has shown us. He's just an amazing player. Anyhow, let us know in the comment which one you like the most. Well, see you in the next one.